one of my mates introduced him. Yeah, help him out. I said, all right then, Kresnik. So I remember like we had Kensington Town Hall, yeah, and this is in 2009, and this brother came to me and said, he said, give me all of the tickets. I said, what? I said, I'll give you all the tickets. That's like 30 grand's worth of tickets. Yeah, no problem. Come back, 30 grand, he gives me back cash. I'm like, what? So from then it just started to move on and move on. I remember Karen was like, Spence, we need to get better fighters in as well. And there was a guy who was like, I got Troy Pro, who was a Mongolian. He went back to Mongolia, but he could fight. I got Troy on, he was old at the time, he was like 38, but he could really fight. I got Troy, then off of the back of Troy, there was Darren Hamilton, who was living in our gym, and he became British champion. And then, Troy won prize fighter. Then he won a WBC international title. Then he went to Indonesia and challenged for a world title out there. Nathan Graham, another kid, he won the Southern Area Championships. And him winning the Southern Area Championships, like him becoming a world champion. Then Larry Kendall won prize fighter. And these are all guys that we were all mates. Because I ran the gym, they were training white collar guys. And then after they were training white collar guys, they would train professionally, and I brought in lots of people inside the game, and that means a lot to me. You know what I mean? That I brought other guys, and other guys have done well for themselves off of the back of what we created, me and Karen created when we created Hard Knocks. And then we did that, and then out of the blue, Sky TV phoned me and said, "Oh, we're running a pilot show. Would you like to? Would you like to host this show?" Out of the blue.
This is toe to toe, is it? Or
yeah, it's toe to toe. And I was like, "Yep, I'm getting nuts now. Raw Sky have asked me to come in to do this thing. Right, they're gonna pay me some mad money." No, they were paying me travel expenses for about 4 months.
Whoa.
Right, and I'm like, "What kind of bullshit is this?" Right, and I remember then Johnny Nelson pulled me to one side. He said, "Spencer, don't worry about that. They're testing you, bro." You know what I mean? And I rate Johnny emphatically. Johnny was saying, they're testing you. And I just stuck at it. And the show was just getting mad numbers. And I remember Adam Smith, who's no longer there now, he's doing brilliant stuff for GBM. Adam Smith says, he calls me into his office. He's like, "Oh, yeah, Spencer, yes, we want to offer you a proper contract." And instead, I was there for 9 years. Wow. I said a lot of controversial shit, so that's why they got rid of me. But what I'm trying to say to you is, like, a lot of my talk when I was at Sky, I was about 18 months too early. That's all, because I was like, George Floyd, they didn't kill him yet, right? I was about 18 months too early, because now, if you look at their roster, how everything's changed and how diverse things have become inside boxing on all different platforms, but everybody knows that, right? You know what? The person that made up the most noise about the lack of diversity was Spencer Fearon. And now all of these industry people are going by my notebook, and I know that for a fact. So that means a lot to me, because I get commended by this every single day from people of my community, and that means a lot.
Where does that leave you now? Like, when someone like Sky Sports, as you say, had to let you go.
There's loads of reasons, though. It wasn't this one.
Are you able to get back? Like, are you politically correct? Are you allowed to get back on the BBC or ITV?
No, you're saying allowed, but you're saying allowed. But Sean, every time when there's a big fight, BBC phone me, Channel 4 phone me. You know what I mean? Every time there's a big fight, you know what I mean? Sky News, not Sky Sports, Sky News will phone me. Like, they're so enthralled to hear my opinion. Reason being is because there's not many historians in the sport of boxing. I'm just going to be real. There's not, right? And on top of that, there's not many black historians. So I'm saying, well, we want to hear about boxing. It's me, therefore. So that means a lot. And not only that, but they also know, like, when they got me, they've also got kind of access to my black book. I've got a nuts black book. Everybody knows this. So it's those kind of things. But it means a lot when acclaimed people in the sport will phone me, like, when they got their fighters have got fights on. It's me that they're phoning. It's me. What fight do you think we should be watching right now? That means a lot. So, you know what I mean? It's not just one or two people. There's quite a few people. I ain't going to call their names because I don't want people to know. But, you know what I mean? But then it means a lot when other guys will come out successfully in things, but they'll thank me. They'll thank me over their social media. They'll thank me. And that means that means a lot. And it's like, we just got to keep on plugging away and keep on pushing forward. And that's what I'm doing.
So what does the future hold for you?
The future ain't even bright. It's not. It's so bright that you'll be blinded by it. The future for me is for me to constantly keep on improving as who I am as an individual, right? And not to be lazy. And I know, like, on certain things you can be lazy because you can get accustomed to thinking like, oh, I made it now and blah. That doesn't. It's not the case. The future for me, I'm doing a lot with 313 the Almadina 313 charity. So I'm an ambassador for that charity, right? They've done some fantastic stuff, right? It's a charity where they go out and they help communities. Just recently I went out to Palestine, I went to Jordan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it not scary to be in Palestine where there's war around you?
No.
Are there bombs going off around you when you're there?
No. But it's certain sectors. Like, I went out. What happened was this. I got introduced to Brother Ansar, who is an imam. I got introduced to him, and we were talking, and he was like, "I'm not just raising funds to help Muslim people, right? I'm raising funds to help everybody, and literally everybody. And like, he'll do. I remember Easter just gone. I wanted 1,000 Easter eggs. Send me account details, Spencer. Give me an invoice. 1,000 Easter eggs I'm giving out to underprivileged kids. Right? Muslims don't celebrate Easter. Right? I'm doing homeless feeds. Brother Ansar, you know what I mean? I'm doing this homeless feed. All right, get all the food, get it all done, and all the rest of it. I'll get it sorted for you. That's what he does. Sends it in for me. I went to Jordan, and then we went over to Palestine simply because I went up to Banbury, where they're from, where their hub is. I went up to Banbury, and when I was up there, we was having discussions about, this brother's meant to be going out to Jordan with food aid because they did something with Hamzat Chimaev, the UFC superstar. And I did the auction. And I think we raised a lot of money. We raised about £300,000, right? I've never done an auction in my life. But that day, God was blessing me. I was on fire. And like, everyone was saying, "Nah, we need this guy. He's got really good energy." And one of the brothers was meant to go to help deliver the food aid, but he was half enough. He weren't too sure that he wanted to go or not. And I went there. This is at the time of Ramadan. I went and brought my fast up there. And I said, "Listen, bro, if you go, I'll go." And I said, "Wow, but you're Spencer Fearon." And I said, "If you go, I'll go, bro." Right? And I must have rang the man on the Monday. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm just thinking about it, brother." And me, brother Martin, his name is, "I'm just thinking if I'm going to go. I'm not too sure." I was like, "Bro," I said, "Just go, man. It'd be great to go." And it was about, I think 9 of us went. And you know, when it was just a blessed trip, 9 of us went out there. Everybody got on with everybody. Like, there was no, you know what I mean? Human nature is bickering and all the rest of it. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful that it was beautiful. I went to a mosque out there, right? And while I was in the mosque, I got recognized in the mosque. Some guy said, "Oh, Spencer Fearon, like, I watch your podcast. I'm a big boxing fan." So we're talking. This man invited me over to his house, meet his family, have dinner with him. This is in Jordan. And I said, like, us as human beings, the human family is beautiful, right? Seriously, the human family is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful because it's an energy. And when you're looking for beauty, you're going to find it. If you're looking for the nastiness inside of someone, you're looking for the worst inside, you'll find that as well. So if you openly say, "Well, I'm actually going to look at you, I'm looking at the best version of you, the best you. I'll be disappointed if I don't see it, right? But I'm looking for the best. And even if I don't see it and I see the worst in you, you reveal the worst in you, I'm still going to brush that off to say, well, I maybe got you on a bad day, or you was going through something. But I'm gonna see if I can find the best you. When I was out there, when I'm saying